Great. Hello, everybody. I'm Evan. I'm a grad student here also at Clemson. My research area is kind of in theoretical computer science. I'm super into like cryptography and also like error correction, which is all just like about sending messages and secrecy and privacy. A whole bunch of fun stuff. Antsa, what about you?
My research area is cryptography, protecting our information so that it's not going to be used or accessed by somebody else that we don't intend them to. So let's say when we have like our credit card or banking information, we don't want them to be public. So tell us about your undergraduate journey. How did you choose like which school to apply to, and how does that happen?
I kind of really didn't know what to do after high school, but I had some inspiration through like my first like linear algebra class. It was like a really good combination of like a good professor and a good teacher. We had like this like really inspiring project about like Google PageRank algorithm and how it related to linear algebra, and I was like, that is so cool. So I kind of just followed that for a while, and that's kind of how I just got into math. I went to UC Irvine in Southern California, and then afterwards I went to San Diego State, continuing on with the math, just kind of because it was like during the pandemic and stuff, and I didn't really know what else to do. So we kind of just ended up here, but been following the math journey. Ans, what about you? How did you pick the schools?
I always knew that I want to be a teacher. So that was like since I was very young. And then I went to middle school, and that's when I have like a really nice teacher, and she teaches really well. She was like my math teacher back in grade 6, and I was like, oh, I want to be a math teacher. That sounds cool. From there, I was just like, I'm going to go to the teacher training center. And when I was there, I was like, oh, teacher how to teach sounds cool. So I guess I want to go with that. And that's when I knew that for you to teach at the university level, you need to get a PhD. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get a PhD in math.
What was it specifically about that teacher you had younger that you liked that inspired you?
Every single things that she explained, it has an actual example that goes with it, and like the practice really, really makes sense. And everything kind of fits into formulas that it's very, very easy to follow.
Okay. So it was like structured and like, very clearly like it chosen in a way that's like, easy for people to understand.
Yeah. It's like solving puzzles. Like I didn't understand how math is used in actual life or something like that. I just loved that I am solving things that make sense to me.
That reminds me of a professor I had a couple of years ago who like similarly had like a very like unique teaching style of like one of the days we would meet twice a week, and like one of the days it would be just like group work on boards, but it was like we were given worksheets that were like very well thought out, and like the questions led into each other, so like we would all learn just by working in the groups together. And then the other days he would like lecture to us, but anyway, it was unique to me, and it reminds me of your teacher because it was like very well thought out.
When you went to undergraduates, you already know this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be majoring in math. How did you choose all of those different classes that is available for you?
Yeah, I actually was more into computer science originally, and I also took a bunch of physics. I mean, all at the same time as math, just because they kind of go together. I think I just kind of went with the math eventually, and then it's kind of been a funny rebirth in a way that like now like this year I've actually been like looking a lot more into computer science and physics all over again, and seeing like how they're connected. So it's kind of like a come full circle with those three areas. But as for like picking classes, like I think classes are a lot more fun with your friends, especially when they're like classes you're forced to take. So I kind of took a lot of things with friends, and there was also some interesting ones in the last couple of years, like topics courses and things that I was like, okay, this is a must do. So yeah, that's how I picked. Did you have like scheduled things where they suggested things, or were you able to pick your courses during your college years?
In my country, just like choose like, okay, I'm gonna apply to this school, gonna go to this option, and it's already have like this is the course that you need to take this semester, and you don't get to choose your schedule. You don't get to choose who is your teacher. You have to take the class exactly as it's offered, and we don't get to transfer our credit. Here you have like, okay, I'm a math major or I'm a physics major. I can change my major, and like all of those math classes that I took as a physics major, it can't transfer to my math because it's still my credits. In my country, it's not like that, as I am committed to do math. So if at one point I decide that I'm gonna go to physics, it's kind of like going back to first year and do everything again, take all of those classes again because they don't transfer.
Wow, even so, that's between the institutions from your country.
Even if it's the same institution, it doesn't doesn't transfer.
I see.
Okay, so if you have like a bachelor and then they can accept you for a master's, but if it's like you want to change in between, like you didn't finish your bachelor yet, you need to go back if you want to change your major or something like that.
Did they let you pick like what kind of math specifically? I know some schools like have like different tracks, like if it's like in data science or like machine learning or whatever. Did you guys have options like that, or did you just pick math and they only had that set up for you where you couldn't pick after that?
So the school that I went to, it's the actual teacher training center. So what that means is they already have like, those are all of the math classes that goes with this program, and those are all of the other social sciences topics that you need to do. It's like you are choosing what you do as you enter the school itself.
If you want to change, you have to start all over, you're saying. That's pretty different.
Yes.
Is there something that you didn't do in college that you wish you had?
Actually, there are a lot of things. So one of them is volunteering. It's like a balance of helping people and also expand your horizon. I didn't really know that that option were available because I'm a first generation college student. So I didn't even know who to ask, and not a lot of people were starting to talk about college or something like that.
That reminds me, I have a related kind of journey where like I also didn't really know what was available just because I wasn't like, I mean, I liked math, but I wasn't like, obsessed with it until like the last like couple of years. So I never really like, did all the things that really would prepare you for really succeeding. Like I think like in high school, you're like some really good things to do is like competition math, or like in your undergrad, like doing the Putnam exam to like really set you up to like, be like a strong candidate when you apply in the future and stuff. But I'm curious, like what I mean, in hindsight, I would just like go back in time and tell myself that. But I think it's kind of like a lot of, I wish I would go back and just had more motivation academically to say, okay, this is what I want to do, and actually go and look into it. Cause I kind of was a little bit on autopilot, right? And, a lot of those opportunities just kind of passed.
I would say Google was a thing, but I didn't even think to go there and see like what's available for me. That never crossed my mind, and now I feel like, yeah.
So did you move out for college, or did you go nearby, or when did you move out?
I moved out when I went to do my master's in South Africa. That's the first time I left my home.
Did you find that difficult living by yourself, or transitioning into, trying to take care of yourself and be responsible?
Okay, so here's the thing. I didn't actually take care of myself until I was at Clemson, because when I went to Ames, they have everything. They do my laundry, they prepare my food, they do everything for me. The only things that I do is like cleaning my room and study.
Wow.
So it's not like I didn't need to think about like how do I manage my money, what if I run out of food. I I didn't have to think about that.
That's interesting. So tell me more about how the Ames program was structured. Is it like how you were saying, or was that different from the undergrad where things were picked out for you? So seems like they focus a lot on you studying. So what else goes on with that program?
For Ames, they have like, how to say that? It's like our bread classes, so everyone don't get to choose those. It's like fixed schedule. And that's going to be in like the first free blocks that we have. And then you enter in your second steps where there is still free blocks. And during those periods, you are going to be offered free math classes and you need to choose two. So it's kind of like you have a room for choice, but not a lot.
It sounds different in just because when you're saying that they did your laundry for you and had the food like that is very different. Is it? Can you tell me just like more about that? That it seems so foreign to me.
It's a fully funded scholarship for African students. So what they do is like every single year they recruit students from African countries, and like in my period they took like I think about 40 of us in the same cohort. So those are people from different countries, and they pay for your house insurance, plane ticket, and they take care of the food, the housing, because it's like we live in the same place that we study, and we also get like a bit of stipends, like not a lot, but you don't have to pay um, for a lot of things except like your personal care. That's the things that you need to buy. So yeah, it's really cool. It's definitely really good and really open a lot of doors for people who will not be able to like study abroad or continue studying otherwise. Yeah, studying abroad is not cheap if you don't have a scholarship.
Yeah, even in the U.S., if you leave the state that you were born in, like it's like the tuition for schools is like so much more, unless you have like scholarships and whatever. It's kind of ridiculous, honestly. Like when I was applying to schools within California, or the masters in the undergrad program were like very minimal tuition. It was just kind of only fees, and because I was from there, they waived everything. So all I had to pay for was like housing. But my friends that went outside of the state that were from there, like they had to pay so much more for housing, and people that came to like Irvine or whatever, like I saw them paying like $60,000 a year, something crazy, and it's just so wild. I think in the U.S. at least, like it's such a smart choice to go to a school in the state that you're from. Um, Anyways, that's a little bit different, just because we have to also pay a bunch for housing.
Yeah. So when you were in the undergraduate program, like how did you pay for your tuition?
Because I was from California, like it was actually basically all waived. Yeah, I just kind of paid for housing and food, and I just kind of made it by. I didn't have to take out any loans until like the end of my master's, just to kind of wrap it up. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that, if especially because there's like good schools in every state. So applying within your state is kind of like a smart economic decision, I think, especially for US, I think.
It also depends on what you want to do, but yeah, it's definitely good to think about how does the school choice affect like your money.
Yeah,
In Madagascar, going to college is kind of like reserved for some people that, let's say, high class and middle class, because we don't have anything like student loan or something like that. We don't have a student loan system, so we need to pay the tuition fees upfront.
yeah, seems very different from now here at Clemson. I think it's very Clemson. I'd say is pretty similar to my situation from my other schools, where you know trying to be responsible and spend your stipend wisely, and not. Yeah, I was going to transition into how you spend your stipend money, and like how you budget, and all the adulting things now that you're actually living pretty far away.
What I am doing is I have an actual Google Sheet where I put everything that I need to do, I am planning to buy, everything that I need to buy. So, for example, like the tuition, we need to pay tuition every semester. So that's definitely like top list. And it's already, we have payment plans. So I put it like, those are like the most that I need to pay those tuition. So it's right there. And then there are also something like rent and all of those. So those already like, before I haven't received any money, I already know how many of it is going to go where.
Okay. So would you say that you're financially responsible? Like it sounds like if you plan things out on Google Sheets, like would you consider yourself like that? I don't know. I'm starting to just learn about that now.
Yeah, I would say I don't know about how other people plan their money, but I think I'm financially responsible because I already like have every I have it planned ahead.
I see. I would say mine's low. Yeah. I for the longest time I was usually just kind of not really worrying about it and kind of just like blindly just spending money and just trying to be reasonable, like not just like wasting a bunch of money. But I wasn't too conscientious until recently, and it's kind of surprising. Like I'm 23 now and just starting to like budget and like see where all my money is going. Like how much I spend on Chick-fil-A or something every month. It's kind of funny. What else do you spend your stipend on?
Okay, I have a list of, let's say, gears that I want to get, or like clothing items that I would like to get. And what I am doing is I have them on a spreadsheet, and I put like what are the links that goes to them. And I also using like those okay, I use wishlist on those like shopping websites. So on the time that they goes on sale, that's when I buy the things that I want to get. So if I just like scroll, and it's like, oh, I love these things, I'm just put it there, and I'm just gonna put it as in my wish list. And if it's gonna get, if it's dropped, if the price drop, and I have that money at that time, I'm just gonna get it. If not, waiting for overtimes. And I also go thrifting a lot.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds very organized. If you have spreadsheets for the money and also the things you want, uh, very organized. Do you say that it's also like that organized when you come to like academics and you do schooling? Do you also have sheets and plan things out like that?
For my PhD like courses and the classes that I take, I also have a spreadsheet where everything, and like I keep track of which classes did I get, and that's really helped. Like when we're gonna do the GS 14, I think you need to write all of those classes that you take, and I think copying it right from my spreadsheet, which are already organized, is definitely better than going on academic transcript and to copy paste. So
What about for like your classes and how you like survive in classes and go through those? Are they also structured and planned, and you have sheets when you do your classes and stuff?
I am using Google Calendar. So all of my classes, like all of my homeworks, let's say I'm gonna work on this homework at this specific time. I am gonna do this at this specific time. All of those are in my Google Calendar.
Is that for every class and every homework is scheduled? Wow.
Yes. And like, yeah, even if like send an email to this person at this time, it's already there.
That is impressive. I am very not organized like that. Um, but I mean, I think there's strengths in different ways to do things. But no, I do respect that because especially if you have like a lot of things going on, then it's time to start organizing. So don't get overwhelmed.
Yeah. How about you?
I have been that is like I've been working on trying to be a little bit more organized in the past few months with these like productivity apps or whatever, just like writing down and kind of like labeling all the things they need to do. Just because I've kind of been for the last few years, just kind of spontaneously just doing work when I need to, which sometimes is not good. Sometimes it's right before the deadline. Sometimes it's a week before. It's just not very organized. So I'm just trying to change of pace recently. So I have been also trying to log things, trying to plan things a little bit better. So yeah, I think there's some good apps. There's one I found I liked. It's called like Obsidian, where you can like kind of organize your notes. just like in one place, and you can kind of like look at it from like your phone, and you can save it as files and things. So I've been interested in productivity apps like that. One thing we were also going to talk about was like, challenges of the graduate school. So like, if you all these organization things for like homework and time, what would you say the challenging, any challenging parts you have for like, the grad program?
When you have like classes that you have to take, you always have like priority in your mind, right? So for me, I always tend to do the things that I like doing instead of like all the things that I have to do. So I think just like setting aside the time, like no, Ants, I know that you want to read something about cryptography, but today, this time, it's 2 o'clock, you need to go and read your conic optimization.
Because it's on the Google Calendar.
Yeah, Google Calendar. Yeah, but it's like my mind is still gonna say like, no, but we like these things. This is what we want to do. This is what we want to spend our time on. But it's like the Google Calendar says we shouldn't. We should definitely finish this task right here. And it's kind of still conflicting, but I think you just need to put like an actual calendar, like reminders and all of those to just have you do things even if you don't want to do them. Because at the end, you need to do everything, not just the things that you want to do.
That makes sense. Do you have time scheduled in your Google Calendar to have fun and relax and read books and do the fun things you're talking about?
I would say yes. Because like for now, what I consider as my hobby is making videos. So welcome to my hobby time. Yeah, I also have schedules in my Google Calendar for doing them, like every single things that I'm planning to go. Let's say I'm going to go to GSS, I'm going to go to math club, or I'm going to go to church. That even like a time block in my Google Calendar. Like I should be in church like from 9 to this time. I am going to call my sister at this exact time.
I see. I think that's like something that is difficult. I mean, maybe for me at least, like making habits and like actually keeping them. We should talk about that. Just because, like, people want to be millionaires and they want to be, good looking and exercise and eating well. But when it comes to actually doing those things, it takes work, and nobody wants to do work. So how do you actually like make healthy habits that that are good for you, but you don't want that take like effort and self-discipline? Like, how do you actually build habits?
Google Calendar and accountability.
Okay.
Me and Antonio are now studying languages with Duolingo, and we already agreed that we are going to do Duolingo 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the afternoon. So I have that also in my Google Calendar. So no matter what's happening, and I just like, okay, I already committed to this, I'm going to do this. But also, sometimes, like, even if I am, let's say, overwhelmed with all of my works, and Antonio just ended, then I'm like, okay, it's the time that we should do Duolingo. Like, no question asked, we just switch to Duolingo mode and do it. And we also do, like, going to the gym, and it's just like, no, let's go to the gym. It doesn't matter if you don't like it or you don't want to do it or you have like a lot of research to do. We're just gonna do it right now.
I see. So you're saying Google Calendar for planning it and bringing it into existence, and then also accountability and having somebody to say that, okay, we're actually going to do it. So those two things in combination help you build the habits.
Yes.
I think my structure is not too planned out, and the work-life balance is kind of all over the place. So, some days I'm on campus all day, some days I'm not. So, there's probably a healthy medium where maybe I can, drift towards being a little bit more organized. So, yeah, not the good person to ask for habits. But yeah, I think those could be important just for success, depending on what kind of person you are. So for someone else who's coming into like a grad program, building habits I would say is important. And also we talked a little bit about money and budgeting and those kind of things. What else would you recommend for like new students in grad school that maybe haven't like been fully financially independent? Like any other tips you would have for people like that?
Find where you can find free food. Yeah, so let's say at Clemson, there is like, okay, GSS is a good way to have like, to listen to talk and know our students and all of that, but they also have pizzas, and pizzas that's like, you can have like one slice of pizza or two slices of pizza for dinner. And that's like your dinner. That's like one less meal to buy. And the same for like math club or like going to conferences. When they have food, just like go there. If they have food, it's interesting, just go there in person. As I said too, it's like knowing people and talking to people. Because there are like some people who may have something that they want to get rid of, but you need it. That may be like clothing or like kitchen utensils or like tablet. And if you are there when they want to get rid of it and you need it, you may get it for free instead of paying it for yourself. So what did you learn for that first year at Clemson?
Oh, actually, there's a lot of things. One thing that's different was like it's my first time living outside of California, and it's been like so interesting to get like perspectives on like different places to live. And anyways, I would say that yeah, but I think it's been really helpful in like the character building to like live in different places. Just because I can't imagine like being like in my hometown for all these years, and then like there's so many things to go out and explore and see. And I think that doing school in different locations is a great way to go out and get experience and kind of learn what you like and don't like. So I'm really happy to be here.
How easy was it to you to make new friends when you first come to Clemson?
I don't know how big the cohorts were for the other years exactly. Maybe you could tell me, but I think we had like 40 or 50 that just came in for my year. So I think we had a whole bunch of math people. So that wasn't too bad. What was it like for the last couple of years? How many people do they usually bring in?
I started on the springs. When you come on the spring, everybody knew each other like from the bridge program, So people already have friends, and there are like few people to be like starting at the same time as you. There's just few of them. But I think meeting people at my church, that was like how I get most of my connection, I would say.
Yeah, I would also say the grad offices, just because it's not like secluded or whatever. Like we it feels like a bit of a community. Like each of the rooms like have 10 or so grad students to kind of socialize with. That's also another great way.
Yes, definitely. Like people in the same office and just like people who are I would say making friends with like actual classmates. It
Doesn't work for
doesn't
that.
really work because everybody have like their own schedule. So it like be somebody who's like let's say same office that something can be like, because you can see each other like other than let's say the actual class, because you don't talk during the class, right? You don't talk. So yeah, I would say like the office, that's where I met a lot of people too, and social events. But also a lot of people go if they're actual friends already in the social events, so it's a nice to make connection with people, but maybe not like a deep friendship. Just like I know you are doing this stuff, we are doing, uh, and that's what you can get at social
Yeah,
events.
okay, that makes sense. So speaking of making connections and planning for the future and stuff, you mentioned you wanted to teach before. So what's your foreseeable like goals and plans for after this?
Yeah, that's funny. I just know I want to teach, and I want to teach teacher how to teach. How is that going to happen? I don't know yet. So, I, okay,
Right.
because it also depends on what's available when I'm going to be graduating, right? If I'm going to be like graduating and there will be like, say, let's say we are going to have like a postdoc or a professorship or something like that that I can apply to, then I'm going to apply to that. But I would also going to apply if it's like an industry opportunity. But then I will still be able to teach or let's say going to give my time to let's say teach at Ames or being like do volunteer work and teaching in other countries or something like that. So I don't know yet, but the only things that I know is I'm gonna teach. I don't know
Okay.
but where specifically, but I know I'm gonna teach. And I would like to teach at Ames. I don't know which center because they have a lot of centers, but that's as precise as I know for now.
Well, oh, so one more thing about that. So, what are the things would make you like desirable candidate? So, if you wanted to be teaching, but besides just grinding through the coursework of the PhD and the dissertation, like what are the things do you think are important to be standing out as a candidate for that?
Okay, so if you want to teach, I would say getting a teacher's training is really a good start. And like Clemson has different teaching workshops for graduate students. I think those are really good. But also, if you can get an actual, let's say, program for teaching, that is really good. Because like I would say like the ideal will be like the things that you want to teach, which is like say math, but you also know the science of education itself. So basically, you should know a lot about psychology and sociology, and all of those things affect how students understand your um, class and like communication. I would say you can be like
Yeah.
an okay teacher if you just know the math and you thrive to have like your notes going to school, like having your notes well organized and just lecturing. You will be an okay teacher. Your student will be doing fine, but I don't think you can be a great teacher unless you have like thrive to learn the actual science of education. But I think just like starting to know like let's say master the topic that you're going to teach itself, that's like a very great start.
So, if you're going to be teaching, let's say, like at the undergraduate, like college math level, like what are the specific things that are like outside of knowing the material? Do you think is like those things that you're talking about that are important?
It's very important to talk to other people and see what they are doing about their teaching. Because although you already have like your own experience and that with your own students, some other people may also have like different ideas and different viewpoints. And it's kind of you can start with the people who is like teaching the same class as you, people teaching different sections, or like people who taught this same class before. That's like a very good way to start. But there are also some conferences where they have like mathematical education talks that you can go to and like find new ideas that you didn't ever think of before.
What are those things? What are those things that you've picked up from other professors for things for how to really teach beyond just knowing the material?
I would say one of the great things that I've read. There is a book that I really love about teaching. It's not about like math education, but it's a book about education, and it's called Teaching at its Best. And it's really goes it really goes deep into different areas of how students learn and like what are the good things that you can apply and how do you communicate with students, but mostly like trying to learn your students' name and reaching out to them. That's very important. And like trying to understand them as a person, because let's say you need to teach a human before you are teaching a student.
What if you have a lot of students? How can you uh, you know help everybody if you have like, let's say, like 50 or 100 students?
I've never had more than 50, I would say around 50 students in a class, but I would say you can know your student by, let's say, having surveys. Just like in the beginning of class, just have like a surveys, um, just about like what is your learning style, and also like in between the let's say in the middle of the semester, you can also ask them like, hey, which one of those things that I did you like, and which one of those do you think should I change? And that's separate from the school's actual class evaluation. But also from the class evaluation, you can learn a lot about you as a teacher and what kind of student did you have last semester. It's like it's not gonna help them because it's already like at the end of the semester, but it still can help you adjust for the next student. And also having students coming to your office hours.
Yeah, that I remember that. Yeah, I like that thought, just because I, back when I was in San Diego, I made it very. I tried to make it enticing to go to office hours, just trying to make the environment fun, and doing classes, and just like really bugging them. They're like, "Hey, I have office hours today. Let's hang out." And I had consistent students, which I think was great for the learning. Um, we had like a similar like room, kind of like how Clemson has like the math help room, where just like a big, I think it was like the math learning center, we had it called. And it was, just, yeah, a good way to connect with the students. And also, I think actually asking questions one on one is very helpful for the learning process. So yeah, office hours, I agree, that's great. I think the most influential people, that like thinkers and researchers technically, would actually just be like, I would say my master's cohort was like really influential, just because like they were super motivated and like super on top of their thing, on top of like, being super organized. They were also super smart, and like, hanging around them, and me not originally being like that. Uh, I think just like wanting to be like them, and being around them in classes had, made a big impact on me. Like, okay, this is the bar, because these are the people that I'm taking the classes with. So I had some good friends in those classes that made me want to improve. And so those are the people that I knew personally, and um, people that I, kind of look up to that I don't know. Like, this is kind of cheesy, but I'd say like, like I would say like Kobe Bryant, the great basketball player. Like, he has this whole like Mamba mentality of like, putting in a lot of work, and like, I don't know. I find that very respectable, and it motivates me, and like just like seeing how hard he works. What about you? Do you have any people that you know or don't know?
Yeah, I told you before that like if you want to go to another like area when you are in Madagascar, you need to go back. Like it doesn't it doesn't transfer. So I have a friend and she really wanted to do math. But like when she graduated from high school, she was still really young, and her dad didn't want her to, let's say, go to another region to study. So she just like applied to physics program, which is nearby. But she really wanted to do math. She really wanted to become a
Mhm.
math teacher. So she just finished that. She finished that program, and like um, some professors that are already thinking like, yeah, you are gonna go for a master in physics, right? Like I have already like she already had like a teacher that has an actual project that is for her. Let's say you are gonna do research with me. This is like your thesis and something like that. But instead, she go back and apply for the tutor training center, and she stopped it right, like from the beginning, and she was like with a lot of people who are like significantly younger than her, and it was like that's I would say that's really that's a very good example for me, and I always felt like, oh, that's my role model. Let's just say like, yeah, you want to do it, just go there. Don't care about how old is everyone else around you. Just let's do it. It's really cool.
That reminds me, like when you're saying, like not caring what other people think. That's I also had a similar uh, inspiration moment where I had like a class where one of the students was like asking a lot of questions, and they seemed like they were like kind of like off topic, or like I would say like, wait, what's this guy always asking things about? And I was like, it wasn't until like near the end of the semester when I realized like he's asking these like deep questions, and like because he's like actually really thinking about the material, and he's like not really worried about like sounding dumb, because like uh he's like actually trying to understand and ask questions regardless. And like I actually like that's kind of stuck with me in a bit, and I was like I really admire that he did that. And then anyways, that yeah, so not caring what other people think, and asking questions, which is actually I think a really important thing, just because like so many math classes are just so quiet, right? And I think it's one thing we were talking about teaching, like making it in a comfortable environment for people to ask questions, really just like helps the learning process, right? So it kind of all ties together.
Okay, I think let's wrap it up. Thank you so much, Evan, for joining me today, and thank you to viewers who are watching us till this end.
Yep. Thanks everybody who's watching. Yeah. Yeah. Antsa, was nice talking to you. And yeah, great.